Good morning. Good morning. There we go. Okay. Everyone hear me? Good morning. Good morning to the group. Everybody can go ahead and take a seat. That would be Good morning, everyone. Everybody can take a seat. I mean, we're going to get started here in just a couple minutes. Go ahead and get started. All right. Good morning. Good to see everyone. All right. So we have everybody from the lobby. All right, wonderful. Well, good morning. It's great to see everybody in person. My name is Mason Elstock. I'm the president of the Rowen Foundation. It really is a privilege to have all of us together. Before we get started, I want to take a moment and recognize our state and local elected officials who serve our community tirelessly, many of whom were not able to be with us here in person. But if you're an elected official, if you wouldn't mind standing up so we can recognize your service, please. Thank you very much. Well, today is a very special day, and it's great to have so many familiar faces in the room joining us. And it's a special day because really today is actually about tomorrow, and the day after that, and the next day. And what we start today, the vision that we share, the partnerships that we form, the community that we create, are all going to carry us into tomorrow together. Rowen is a project that is really about future generations. It's about the industries and the ideas and the solutions of tomorrow. It's a place that is creating a more accessible and equitable and prosperous tomorrow. And we all gather here, and those that we get to spend time with every day, we have the privilege of being a part of creating that tomorrow today together. And that's the joy that I have in being a part of the Rowen team and the work ahead. This morning, we're going to hear from a number of the Rowen team members and partners around the progress that we've made over the last year and the road ahead. We're going to hear from some leaders in industry around the future of medicine, agriculture, and the environment, and how Rowen and Gwinnett and Georgia can continue to be a global leader as we stand up Rowen and bring it to life. I hope you leave here inspired about what we can achieve together through Rowen. This is the very beginning. We have a wonderful group of leaders. We have a wonderful community that we are a part of that are helping to pour into the work that we've done. And in fact, we've already spent months and months and many meetings and hundreds of conversations out in the community to help inform our work. Long before we have a shovel in the ground, before buildings are coming up, our first job was really to listen and to be a steward of this wonderful opportunity today and building into tomorrow. So we have a full agenda. I'm going to keep us moving forward. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce our board chairman, Sachin Shalendra, to offer a few remarks. Thank you.
Good morning. How's everybody? A little cold out there, but it's good to be here with you today. I'm Sachin Shalendra. I'm chairman of the Rowen Foundation. I didn't know what it was, but I got a call about 18 months ago from Governor Kemp, and he asked me if I would serve as the chairman of this esteemed board, and I said yes. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I'm usually the person who says yes. And I got to meet Bob Hughes and Tom Sinkbell, Mr. Hinton, Mrs. Hinton back there, if you all raise your hands, and Bob Giolis and Mason and Mark Sanders. And it was just a great crew. And we got to learn about the property. I went out and visited the property, saw the homestead, and I thought, man, this is such a great idea to have this property in the proximity of Metro Atlanta, one contiguous piece. And it's just amazing what could be done. And then I learned about Bob Giolis and what he had done at Research Triangle Park in North Carolina. I'm a contractor / quote-unquote developer some days. But learned so much about what Bob and Mason had done at Research Triangle Park, and thought this would be such a great thing for our community, for our state, and for our region. And to be controlled by a foundation where we can be patient with the land, which is something that I think is a big deal long term. We don't have to churn and burn and do stuff that's not correct and the right way to develop the property and keep to the history of the property as well. So I was really excited about it, and I see Nick Lucino in the back, and we appreciate his partnership as well, so thank you, Nick. I just want to say thank you to you guys for being here today. We look forward. We've gone through a year, and everyone's like, what have you guys done in a year? I tell you, we've done a lot, and we're going to tell you about it today, and we have a great panel today. I think we have Arthur Tripp here with us today from the government, and we appreciate you being here, Arthur. So I also want to do something else and introduce us to our new board members today. If you'll stand when I announce your name. President Jan Joseph, Georgia Gwinnett College. Bert Reeves, he's with the Georgia Institute of Technology, and I said that correctly. I'm an alum as well, so don't hold that against us either. Yeah, that's right. And then we also have Jack Hu, who's not with us today, but he's the provost of the University of Georgia. So those three will be joining us on the new board as we constitute a new committee, and look forward to working with all of you guys. And I would be regrets if I didn't say hello to Chairwoman Hendrickson today, who's here. So thank you for being here, Nicole. Appreciate you. And I will now turn it over to President Joseph. And thank you for hosting us today, President Joseph. We appreciate it.
Good morning, everybody. This is, I always like to start my welcome with something that I could just read in and just enjoy. And on this first Sunday morning, I am so delighted to welcome you all to my campus. I know for some of you it's the first time, and I hope that it would not be the last time you grace us with your presence. We just are so excited about what we're doing here, and we couldn't be more excited to showcase it and to host you this morning. So I am here to welcome you on behalf of the entire community of Georgia Gwinnett College. because I get the opportunity to serve as its president for this time and for this season. And we are here to host the inaugural State of the Rowing event, because we are also, just as you're very excited about this project and this innovative idea that you all are going to hear some more about, and how it's going to be transformative for us, the citizens, and so many in the region, in Gwinnett County and beyond. And I'm also very grateful for the visionary leaders of Rowen, and to welcome them to my campus, as we have heard from so many of them before. And I want to use this opportunity to express my deepest appreciation and excitement for my opportunity, my campus opportunity, to serve as one of the newest members of the foundation board. And my time begins on February 1, so I'm excited about it. Because I get to work alongside amazing colleagues from the University System of Georgia. You just heard from Regent Shalindra. Thank you so much. Where did you go? Thank you so much to Regent Shalindra for your work and your service. Dr. Jack, who, as you know, is not here, and we are going to meet him eventually, and I'm sure he's going to be a wonderful addition. And of course, my new colleague on the board as well, from Georgia Tech, Bert Reeves, and he is here. So we're excited for this work. And we also extend greetings and welcome the new USA Director, Arthur Tripp, and he's here. And again, all the state leaders and elected officials and guests, welcome to this historic occasion. Because what we know for sure is that the core of Rowen and this project is centered around collaborations and future partnerships. And GGC wants to be one of the earliest supporters of Rowen, and we have already demonstrated that when our own Dr. Tyler Yu, the Dean of the School of Business over here, Tyler, he has already served on the Gwinnett Community Advisory Task Force, and you'll be hearing some more about that work soon. I am fortunate to serve as a leader of this institution, where we align all our work around student success. And I believe that the future of this campus is intricately linked to our community, and I also firmly believe that one element of the success of Gwinnett is Rowen. So soon as you'll hear a whole lot about what's going to be happening there, how they're going to be building visionary work, building a community. It's going to include lots of amazing things like offices and research facilities and public spaces and residents, and of course preserving green space. Thank you so much to the people who gave up this space to us. Thank you. And for asking us to keep that core of what the space represents. And we know that this whole project, this thing called Rowen, is going to change the economy and the outlook of Gwinnett County, because it represents the opportunities for collaborations with educational institutions like us and with industry partners that so many of you all represent. But for our students here at GGC and for our entire community, this is an opportunity for our young people to get access to the jobs of the future and careers that would change lives, and hopefully demonstrate that Gwinnett, with our diverse and inclusive population, could show the world how to lead and grow together. Because we are a minority-serving institution, as you know, but our students, we just mirror our community. And we are so hopeful that all the resources and possibilities that come with this project, not just for jobs, but around environmental sustainability, around agriculture and medical research, that all of these opportunities will be available to the young people of this community. We asked why we do this service, and my son recently asked me, so, okay, Mom, one more board, what does that mean? And I said, this is an opportunity for me to serve for my grandchildren. This is an opportunity for me to serve with my students and for my students and with my faculty and staff and for the future. Because we see ourselves being able to develop the courses and the programs, the internships, the externships, and all of the work that the students would need not just for specific content and programs, but an opportunity for them to develop critical thinking skills, problem-solving skills that would help our students to not just get their first job, but to continue to build their careers and become leaders in our community. So I'm excited about this because GGC is forever evolving, and we see our evolution linked to all that Rowen can become. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce to you all somebody who is no stranger to us, the Gwinnett County Board of Commissioners Chairwoman, Nicole Love Hendrickson. And she's indeed a trailblazer. As she comes, let me tell you a little bit more about her, because she's an example of why Gwinnett is a special place to evolve and grow. Nicole is the first African American to hold this position, and she's well known for her extensive body of work in the government sector, and she has gained recognitions from multiple areas. I'll name a few because I just want to share some love for my sister. Because recognitions include Engineering Georgia's 100 Most Influential Women in Georgia, and Atlanta Business Chronicles Power 100 Most Influential Atlantans. She's also the recipient of Congressman Hank Johnson's Trailblazer Award and the Gwinnett Chamber Public Service Award. It is my pleasure to introduce to you and call to the podium Chairwoman Hendrickson.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph. That is a great way to start my morning. Thank you so much. I'm a firm believer of giving people their flowers while they're alive, and I love you so much and your leadership, your friendship, and your support of the county. So thank you for all that you do and helping to move this county forward. Yes. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to all of who took the time to be here this morning on this very special occasion. I especially want to thank Georgia Gwinnett College for your continued commitment and community partnerships of this nature. It's great to look out and see so many familiar and friendly faces. Welcome back. Gathered in this one room. And speaking of champions and thinkers, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge our district commissioners who are here with us this morning, including our District 3 Commissioner, Jasper Watkins, whose district is home to Rowen, our knowledge community. And we also have District 4 Commissioner, Marlene Foscue, whose district is home to Georgia Gwinnett College. As you listen to the different presenters this morning, it will become clear that in its formative days, Rowen has already gained a broad base of public and private sector support from across Gwinnett County, the region, and the state of Georgia. That level of engagement speaks to Rowen's unlimited potential, but reaching that potential also requires our full participation and thoughtful collaboration in Rowen's development. Since the official announcement was made more than a year ago, we have hit the ground running with a shared vision shaped by opportunity. After months of conceptualizing and planning the infrastructure for Rowen and the additional growth that it will spur underway, just a few minutes drive from here, dirt is moving, miles of pipe for water and sewer expansion are being installed, traffic patterns are being re-engineered, roads and bridges are being modernized, and institutes of higher learning, like Georgia Gwinnett College, are working on ways to leverage this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But while turning this opportunity into something tangible, we must also ensure that everyone has a fair chance to participate. A year ago, my fellow board members and I made a commitment to keep equity at the center of every decision we make. And that intentional practice has carried over to our partnerships with the Rowen Foundation. It was a proud moment for me that this commitment extended to Rowen, and it was a proud moment for me and the district commissioners when the foundation made a similar commitment, adopting a minimum goal of 30% participation from small minority-owned and women-owned businesses in all vendor and contract relationships. This commitment ensures that every capable vendor interested in doing business with the Rowen Foundation has a fair shot at competing for contract bids and is not excluded due to company size, race, or gender. And our, thank you, yes. And our focus on equitable practices and engaging the local community continued with work of the Gwinnett Community Advisory Task Force. Following 6 months of conversations and workshops, the GCAP members recommended numerous ways to ensure that Rowen becomes a global destination that is also welcoming, safe, affordable, and accessible to our diverse residents who call Gwinnett home now and into the future. And while this intentional work can be difficult, it's what we're known best for as a community, going the extra mile to make sure we uphold the Gwinnett standard of excellence. The state of Rowen today is indeed exciting. It remains a work in progress, full of potential for our community, for our region, and for our state. I'm filled with optimism about the journey ahead and the countless opportunities Rowen will unlock for our children and our grandchildren. Gosh, I don't want to think about grandchildren. My son is still 8. I can't think about that right now. But to all who are here, to the Rowen Foundation, Georgia Gwinnett College, to all of our partners, I say thank you. And now it's my pleasure to welcome Mason back to the stage for the Rowen Year in Review. Thank you.
So our chairman, Chairman Solyndra, everyone was stepping out and grabbing a few interviews if we didn't get him before. So he's here, I promise. He hasn't gone yet. We just haven't waited. Well, thank you, Chairwoman Henderson. Thank you, President Joseph. And I also want to echo our gratitude for Commissioner Foscue, for Commissioner Watkins, and the partnership that we've had with the county. We have a number of county staff and employees that are here as well. And the relationship, the trust, the confidence that we've been able to grow just excites me. Both for where we are and the road ahead. I wanted to acknowledge two other folks that are here. Rachel Little with the Board of Regents is here, and her service in guiding our higher education institutions. I want to recognize her. And I also want to recognize Andrew Carnes with Partnership Gwinnett. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your leadership in economic development. We keep saying it again because it's true. Rowen is going to be successful because we work together. We bring together industry and higher education, think about education as a pathway to talent and a diversified talent pipeline, and we get there in partnership. We're now going to jump in. I'm going to fast forward a few slides. This is our board. And I'm going to introduce a wonderful colleague and someone who has been involved with Rowen actually long before I was involved and has been a tremendous ally, advisor, friend as Rowen has come to life. And that's Bob Hughes, founding principal of HGOR. I'm going to have Bob come up and join me here. And we're going to walk through a brief presentation. There you go. Are you on? Good. To just share where we are, where we've come from. And for those that are not familiar, Rowen is a nonprofit 501c4 with a mission-driven goal in the work that we do. We have property that is going to take generations even to really complete. And with 2,000 acres that's capable of housing 22 million square feet in a full build-out, over 80,000 jobs, it's going to take that patience and partnership to really get it there and working together. As I mentioned before, we spent a tremendous amount of time out in the community. We've had many online meetings. We've had in-person meetings in Decula and Lawrenceville. We've had hundreds of citizens and leaders come in and help to inform our thinking around Rowen and what it should become. And that's been such a valuable part of the process. inviting others in to shape what Rowen is and the direction that we're going. I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mason. And, over the past year, I think several of y'all have probably seen some of this presentation before, but I tell people we're simultaneously been saying, everybody be really excited about this and slow down and temper that excitement because it's going to take a long time to handle. How do you manage the two of those back and forth? So we put together this and we simply said, if you took 2,000 acres, what does 2,000 acres mean? Well, if you put it over downtown Atlanta, it would go from the state capitol to Piedmont Hospital on Peachtree Road, from Northside Drive to Piedmont Park. You can put all of downtown, Midtown, and Georgia Tech campus inside 2,000 acres. If you take it to Athens and you lay it over the University of Georgia's campus in Athens, it's 750 acres. You could put 3 UGAs inside 2,000 acres. If you take it to Perimeter Center, the largest concentration, 60 million square feet of office space in our region, 2.5 perimeter centers. The only thing we could find that we could not cover was Hartsfield. So 2,000 acres is a lot of land. And as our chair said earlier and other, the beauty of the Rowen Foundation, the beauty of the partnership with the county and the way this has been set up, it keeps the pressures of typical real estate development off the project and allows us to take this long-term view. And that's fantastic. As Mason said, we've got a little over 2,000 acres of land. We planned 22 million square feet. That's just a number to begin to talk about traffic, to begin to talk about this and talk to that. We get 50 years from now, and think about go back to the University of Georgia. That campus started in 1793, I think. We have a Georgia person in here. Where's Mark? What was the year?
Started in 1785, and classes started, I think 1801 was when the classes started.
There we go. I just picked in the middle. I did bracketing on those. But, it's been reimagined. But the ethos of the place, the quality of the education, that remains the same. And that's what we'll do here. This is the only mega site in the 5-county metro area. That is huge as well. As we've gone through the past year, we'll go through this a little bit, we've looked at the history of the site. We've looked at transportation and connectivity. We have taken the project that we said 18 months ago when we announced that one of the first things we would do is take this through a development of regional impacts traffic study. We did that and got our notice of decision in October from Greta. And we are now taking that information and something that is not required, we're loading all of that information into the ARC's regional transportation computer model to see how this is truly going to project to change traffic patterns in the region in the future, so that for the first time, I'll say this, the first time in my 40-year career, we will coordinate transportation planning and land use planning.
That's great. And I'll just highlight, many times when we've been out in the community, we've heard about parks and trails and open space. And Rowen truly is, whether you were to live there or work there, it's a place where I would want to bring my family, where you would enjoy a weekend. And the environment is critical, and how we're thinking about sustainability and how we think about creating a place that really is accessible in addition to the economic impacts.
And looking at it, we teamed with the University of Georgia College of Environment Design's Historical Preservation Program to do a cultural resources analysis of the site. And out of that, there were some recommendations about preserving certain elements. There's an old mill site on the north part of the Appalachian River. It's kind of in a reddish, pinkish reddish color. We're going to save some pieces of the old dirt roads that are out there and turn them into our trail system. There's the Williams farmhouse that's out there that we want to figure out how to turn that into an interpretive system. So we want to tell this sort of history of stewardship of this land through our site as we build it, because we're becoming the stewards now to take that forward.
And this is really about our authenticity, right? We're not looking to become Boston or Austin or something else somewhere else. This is about reflecting our history and what we hope for the future by integrating these valuable assets that tell that story as a part of our land and being steward.
One of our programmatic drivers is the environment. So we use the environment as a basis, the land as a basis to drive our planning. We call it a framework for a master plan. So we take topography, slopes, types of vegetation, hydrology, and the cultural resources. We overlay those on top of each other. If anybody's old enough to remember zipatone, you take colors and you lay them on top, it gets darker. So the most environmentally or culturally sensitive areas on each of these maps become the darker areas. When you lay those over the top of each other, it becomes a composite to know where the most sensitive parts of the project is. It's a simple roadmap. Preserve what is dark, build where it's light. And that simple guidepost sets us off from as an environmental basis to plan this land. As we moved into it, we have taken conceptual roads, we've gotten detailed on the site, our phase 1 street system, and I'm going to brag on this here just one second. We were interviewing people to help us. We're going for site certification, U.S. Green Building. If you don't have a building, you can get a site certification. And one of the consultants we interviewed said, well, you can't get it for a road. Nobody's ever gotten it for a road. We said, well, let's go get it, right? So we had a couple of weeks ago, a progress update with a consultant we did hire, by the way. And we are squarely at silver, and we can obtain platinum, we believe. So nobody's done it, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it with platinum. So in 2 years, when we built this, we go through the final certification, I hope to be standing here presenting y'all with a platinum award. Finally, one of the things that we're doing is really, and this is to help everybody kind of understand where we are. You can see here 2022, 23, 24, sort of where we're at in the process here. We've gone through a lot of planning. We will begin in the third quarter of this year with the construction of that phase 1 road system. It will complete about the time that the sewer and water projects are there, so we'll have a complete site at that point. We'll continue, it's sort of a loop, because we'll continue after we do that to move back and do pre-development and additional planning on next steps through it. We've also created this and put it on our website, because a lot of people have asked us, how can I get involved? My business does X. And we don't want them to lose interest in them. We want to begin to, sort of say, all right, if your business is in this category, think ahead. Look at our website here, because that's when we're going to be needing those type services. And then, as the chairwoman mentioned a moment ago, our board did adopt this 30% SWMBE participation goal, but not just it as a goal. It also said whatever the head firm is must have a minority or woman-owned small business partner at the head of the project. We want not just to give opportunity here, we want to give knowledge and participation at every level. And we are meeting that goal as we report today.
And we've also set up a portal through our website so vendors and companies can come in and register, whether you're an SWMBE or not, and become a part of our laying out the development timeline so we can be engaged. And then we'll be reporting back this information to the community. A lot of it will be really helpful data for us collectively to understand where there are gaps in the market and business and where we can come together to help build new pipelines for workforce and training that may not be in Rowen's wheelhouse, but there's others that we can look to and partner with to build out that infrastructure. So that's our update on development. I'll take that one. Yep, yeah. So we really do have an exciting road ahead. We've had many, many conversations, and now we're going to start getting our boots dirty and out there on the site and see things moving forward. In addition to being out in the community, last year we also spent time creating the Gwinnett Community Advisory Task Force that President Joseph mentioned, that Dr. Yu was a part of, and 18 other leaders in Gwinnett County from both the public and private sector, elected officials that served with us, the chairwoman, Commissioner Watkins, being a part of this conversation and having a 6-month engagement where we broke apart the different components of Rowen, from our community to development to the environment to accessibility, all to guide our thinking. And the output of that was a very helpful report that's also on our website, sharing things very transparently that have near-term, mid-term, and long-term goals that will help to guide our work and are integrated into the Rowen work plan that we'll work with our board to advance. 2 of those folks are here and going to share some thoughts. And before they come up here, everyone has their bios in the folder that you have. So I'm going to share just a few thoughts that I have for them because they're just wonderful individuals and leaders. Marlon Allen is a partner at Grant Marketing. He is a passionate, energetic, enthusiastic leader that has really poured into Rowen. He's helped us think about our youth and how we inspire them and engage them in K through 12, long before they get to higher education, and what does that mean for us, and what role can Rowen play there. He's also exceptionally passionate about athletics. I'm convinced that Marlon will figure out how we could have every type of community field for athletics inside of the 2,000 acres as possible. I'm thinking a cricket field, there's going to be baseball, football, who knows? We'll network it all together. And Dr. Valerie Cadet is also here for PCOM. She has also been a tremendous ally, and in addition to just her professional credentials, Valerie has been a wonderful voice and advisor in how we think about culture, how we think about diversity, how we think about inclusion with open eyes, to look back at our history, to think about where we've come from to be here, and then what it means to truly move forward. So I'm grateful for both Marlon and Valerie being here. I'd like to invite you all up to share your thoughts, and thank you again.
These on, Mason?
You can make them on.
Good morning, and thank you, Mason, for that introduction. And my wife is here today. Hopefully she heard Mason say how much of a wonderful person I am. Our family moved to Gwinnett County in 2008, and when we moved here, we learned quite quickly the type of county that we were a part of, the kind of county that our family was moving to. And we quickly embraced this county and the strong pride that it has. I remember the first time I went to an event here, I heard, for you all that remember Connie Wiggins, Connie was at the podium and she says, it's great to be a Gwinnetian. And I turned to the next person, this was my first meeting, I said, what is it, is that an animal? What is it? And, but I quickly learned that we're very, very, very prideful about our community and the things that it means to each and every one of us. Gwinnett County, even before the idea of Rowen, exemplified really the essence of Rowen, and it's the conversion of people, of ideas, of inspiration, while also at the same time highlighting diversity of thought and action. And I think all of us in the sectors of life that we exist in, particularly here in Gwinnett County, we oftentimes speak of the strength of a diverse county. And then most of all for me, Gwinnett County is certainly service-oriented. And when we moved here, this county and its people embraced our family and gave us great opportunities to serve, whether it was in Rotary Club of Gwinnett County, the various sports teams that we're a part of, the school system here has all given us an opportunity to serve. And when given that opportunity to be a part of this project, it was an exciting opportunity, and glad that we can be here and continue our service and hopefully set an example for our two kids that are, one is in the 5th grade, my queen to be, Sarah, and then my son who is now in high school.
So I'll tell you that sort of could be my story in a way, in terms of the feelings, the sentiments. But I moved to Georgia at 19. I'm a New Yorker. And I came here by way of Tallahassee after a year and a half. And Tallahassee didn't feel like home. It's a fabulous place, but didn't feel like home. You know, my house is an international household. New York is an international place, right? And so I wanted to be around people of from all walks of life. And so when I moved here, I didn't think I was going to find that in Georgia. I'm just going to be honest with you. But my sister moved here, so I thought, oh, I'll do it. But I was floored. My first job, I was working in marketing, and I had to collect demographics. And I started meeting all these people that looked like me, or had similar backgrounds in that they were the first in this country. You know, they had accents, they had this, they had that, right? From all potential levels of education, but they were homeowners. That was something that I didn't get to see a lot of growing up in upstate New York, you know, and I was pretty surprised. So that was in the North Lake area. You know, I didn't have kids, But I decided I'm not leaving here until my family is, my children that I'm going to have one day are done, are ready to go, because I saw opportunity. So fast forward, eventually, a few years later, I was moving my way through, and I learned about Gwinnett, and I felt like home. There were sidewalks. It's important. I'm not pleased about the transportation system, but I will jump ahead and say that I believe Rowen is going to be the catalyst to finally connect us in Metro Atlanta. And I was promised that when I moved here at 19. Ultimately, however, I had my children. And I knew that the school system here was where I wanted them to be. So I did go to UGA for graduate school, go Dogs. But after my 6 years, I decided, where am I going to go? And I was being moved other places, other states. I knew if it was Georgia, it was here. But when I explored several of these other states, as well as Gwinnett County, which was the only school system I was willing to entertain if I was here, I knew I needed to be here. Back to the sidewalks is important. Back to the open doors that we have at our schools. The opportunity for me as a parent to join a school board, to be part of the PTA. Bethesda Park was like home because I was a soccer mom, or I was a soccer mom. Mine are older. They've graduated through the system, and we've been embraced. And Glance Gwinnett, part of Leadership Gwinnett, was an eye-opening experience. Gwinnett County, I'll summarize it this way. What I found in Gwinnett County is that it is a welcoming place for all ideas. We're not trying to hide the problems. We're willing to allow people like me, who has a big mouth, to just open it up and say, but what about them? They need an opportunity too. And that is what's kept me here. My children have graduated out of the system. And my 23-year-old who's getting ready to buy his own home is like, Mommy, maybe I should come back to Gwinnett. I mean, that says a lot when a young person's willing and thinking about that. So that's where we're at.
All right, and so we want to give you an overview of our GCAT committee and the things that we've been a part of over the past 6 to 8 to 9 months or so. This committee, as Mason mentioned, was a conglomerate of 18 leaders here in our county with different influences. And over the past few months, our main goal was to meet and center our discussions around the 4 statements or the 4 core beliefs and values of Rowen. And those core beliefs are having a... Oh, okay. There we go. See, he's reminding me of what I need to do. Before we get going. All right. Testing 1, 2. How in the world a preacher not have his microphone up? I know Jason would love that. But before we get going, I was talking about the 18 leaders we see here on the board, and if our GCAP members, if you are present today, if you will stand and be recognized for this initial effort. All of our GCAP members, please stand at this time. Let's give them a round of applause.
It's an honor to be here, the two of us, just representing the 18 individuals that we worked with. So what did this GCAT do? We were all recruited for our diversity of experiences, for our business ideas, our educational backgrounds, what we do and how we do it. So we met monthly, as Mason said, from March to July. We were discussing various topics related to their 4 core statements that the Rowen Foundation has highlighted. And we were asked to offer our ideas. Essentially, we got to imagine and we got to help create. So at the core of everything, though, was diversity, equity, and inclusion as a priority at every single meeting. So the very first meeting, we first had to get together to understand the opportunity. We were talking about empathy and leadership styles, aligning goals of the foundation with the community at large, not just Gwinnett County, but the state of Georgia, the Southeast, knowing that we are looking to attract international as well as national partners to the region. We were allowed to just share our general experiences and get to know each other. In our second meeting, that focused on collaboration. So back to empathetic leadership, that was essential. Respect. Finally, we moved on to accessibility and affordability for our third meeting. There were 4 interrelated aspects that we focused on. Environmental equity, which you know the environment is something that we've already heard about multiple times today as being an essential component. We focused on transportation, infrastructure equity, focusing on housing, economic equity, and social equity. Our fourth meeting focused on authenticity. I did have the pleasure and honor of being the day chair for that particular meeting. We got to hear about what it really means to be authentic and how might we ensure Rowen remains a place of familiarity, comfort, honesty, trust that welcomes everybody to the space. That's what we want to do. Authentic places are not trying to be something they're not. I think Mason mentioned that earlier. We're not trying to recreate Research Triangle or anyplace else. We're trying to just be inspired by successful places, but bring our own diversity into the picture. Inspiration was our meeting 5. So we wanted to look at inspiring places, think about what they are, and analyze what made them inspiring for us. And with 18 different people, that's a lot of different places and a lot of different ideas. But ultimately, what speaks to our soul, what awakens our mind. And then in addition, this might actually have been my favorite part, thanks Bob, it was actually getting an opportunity to tour the site, or part of the site, the future site of Rowen. So I sat in the back seat, we traversed regular roads, we traversed dirt roads and cobble roads, and I got to look up into, a chimney to nowhere and imagine the house that probably was there. I got to find parks that, shockingly enough, I hadn't seen before, like Shackleford Park, which I got to revisit the following weekend and bring my nieces and nephews and children. It's kind of amazing. But I also got to ask the hard questions, as Mason alluded to. I wanted to know how we're going to preserve our history and how we're going to bring everybody's history to be. And I tell you, I'm convinced that Rowen is going to do it, keeping DEI at the forefront.
Thank you. And out of those meetings came obviously some action items, and in the book you have, I think it may list some of the action items, and I just want to review a few of those just so you can understand what did all those ideas that we brought together of those 18 members. It's good to have those ideas, but it's great for us to begin to put this in action so that we can see this vision come to pass. Number 1, engage local mayors and city council members on joint planning efforts. This is very important to make sure that our local leaders are collaborating together. Incorporate into plans the accommodation of alternative modes of transportation. We've all heard about our needs for transit, and so that action item is very important. Grow Rowen's partnerships to include prominent local institutions that have played a strong role in community building in Gwinnett County. Gwinnett is a great place. We know that there are local organizations that have already done some work ahead of time in terms of building up this community, so it's very important that we extend that partnership. And then finally, use creative placemaking to guide design and develop sticky places where we can go and revisit over and over again and create Instagrammable moments. I know many of us are IG lovers, and so it's very important that our young generation are able to come there and see themselves involved in it. And finally, the reason that I am a part of this project, and I hope that you will, after today, begin to see yourself as a part of this massive vision, is the first meeting that I was a part of, and Mason kind of mentioned it. I kind of felt like I was in spring training. where we have people from all walks of life come together, ready to train and ready to prepare, ready to discuss ideas on how we can really come up with one common goal of winning, quote unquote, the championship. And I think it's so very important that as we position ourselves to see this vision come to pass, that we also remember that we are in the midst of champions, right? All right, go Dogs, right? All right, chop on, Atlanta Braves, right? As a matter of fact, Mason, I'm gonna take the liberty to say you need to update the year in review and make sure you add that the Braves won a championship and UGA national champion. So thank you for this opportunity, and we appreciate it.
That's awesome. Go Dogs. All right, let me paint a picture for you. Just stay with me. It's the year 2072. That's 50 years. You don't have to do math. Don't worry about it. Many of us in the room right here who are championing this project, we're working really hard to bring this thought community to fruition. We're doing our part because we're excited. Actually, we're probably not going to be here. And that's okay. I'm not trying to be a downer or a buzzkill. It's the natural order of life, right? That's what's supposed to happen. However, our children will, their children, and I know you don't want to think about it, but you know what? For some of us, even the great-grands. It's going to happen one day, most likely. And so what we're doing here, setting the stage, is to incorporate multiple generations right now into the conversation, into the planning. Keeping space open for the idea that our ideas today need to morph into their ideas tomorrow. So that even in 50 years, when we are not there, as this build-out is continuing, because as they mentioned, we're talking about 50 to 60 years, but it's going to continue to evolve to meet the needs of who's here today. So you don't need to hear any more from me or Marlon. What you need to do is hear from someone who's part of that next generation, who's being engaged, who's working to mold and uplift the following one. We know that future leaders are epitomized in the young man that I'm going to introduce. I'm so proud to introduce. Charbel Ione is the co-founder and CEO of the Georgia First Generation Foundation. You all should have a brochure. I may have butchered your last name as usual. Forgive me. You can read about his background. It is so unique. His methods are successful. His outcomes are phenomenal. He's a graduate of the Master's in Biomedical Sciences program, and he's a current degree candidate in pharmacy at PCO in Georgia. He's one of our own. He attended Mountain View High School. Other members of the Georgia First Generation Foundation here as well attended Lanier, attended other local schools, and are giving back to this community. So I'm going to step aside, let you hear directly from Charbel, if you'll join us, about just how interdisciplinary, multi-generational, and diverse his organization is, and how we might imagine the future of Rowen with some of our partners. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
I guess we're all having really good mornings this morning. Man, that was pretty exciting. Hello, everyone. As many of you may or may not know, my name is Charbel Allen, and unfortunately, I do see some, but not many familiar faces. Hopefully, with this partnership, it continues to grow, and I get to know more and more of you all. Yes, I am a first-generation student. Yes, I am a proud Lebanese American, and unfortunately, I may not be a dog. I hope to be, hopefully soon. I am proud to say that I am a Guanetian. Yes, we're going to use the word. If you disappeared, of course you did. I'm going to advance this just a second there. Perfect. So, when I was a college student, as many of us know, college can be a little difficult at times. And for someone who, just like myself, was the first in my family to go to college, it was even more strenuous to think about what were my next steps. And what was very fascinating at the time was that there weren't many resources available. So trying to figure out how I could amass this knowledge and get this sort of opportunity to further my education was almost exciting in a sense that I was a pioneer, trying to pave my own path so that way future people just like me can do the same thing. And I was inspired by this idea of making the first generation the next generation. And ironically enough, this was a business pitch when I was a college student, and now it's a nonprofit that has been recognized for just more than supporting first-generation students, but connecting community leaders to these first-generation students. And what's even more exciting is that we're supporting students right here in Gwinnett County, students that are willing to give back to the same people that they tend to grow up with. Because it's important to know that pioneers may not know the path that they are taking, but pioneers have the torch and are willing to pass that torch on to future leaders. So when I thought about this presentation, and quite frankly, it's one of the most nerve-wracking presentations I've ever given, to be honest, something I had to think about was connecting this up-and-coming nonprofit to this big project that is Rowen. And quite frankly, it centers around our nonprofit's 3 pillars of success, service, and scholarship. How do we ensure that we are academically, socially, and financially preparing our first-generation students? It's very similar to Rowen's idea of pushing this envelope in supporting the community as a whole. Not just the students, not just the educators, but just the Gwinnetians that we hope to inspire in 50, 60, 70 years. So our goal at Georgia First Gen, yes, is strengthening not only our partnerships with Gwinnett County, but at the same time it's pushing this sort of idea that we can support all of the students that we want to help in the future in more than just the academics. It's building these internships. It's connecting students to real-world examples of what they would see in careers. And I'm truly proud of how far we've come in the short time we've been around it. It'll be interesting to see how much farther we go, and I'm looking forward to all the amazing things that we get to do together. Please definitely reach out for those that are interested in supporting this, because for me, it's something that hits home, and surely enough, I know it touches many, as it probably already has. With that, I believe I'm going to be turning the microphone back to Mason. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Charbel. That's the reason we work so hard together, and we charter a path forward that is about the future. And Charbel, I want to let you know, he doesn't know this yet, but the Rowen Foundation, your mission, your vision, your leadership is really inspiring. We want to support you. We're going to be making a donation and continue our partnership with a donation to the Georgia First Gen Foundation, and look forward to continuing to figure out how we can support your great work as we build a great future for Gwinnetians, for Georgians, for our country. So thank you again so much. Wanted to take a moment to recognize one more individual that walked in. Mr. Toby Carr in the back is UGA VP of Government Relations. Thank you for being here. He's here representing one of our board members, Provost Jack Hugh, as well as President Moorhead. So thank you for taking the time. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce a gentleman who I spent just a little bit of time with, but even in that short amount of time, have already been inspired by his vision for the future, what can be, and so many things that I hear in his voice and in his background and history that align so closely with what we hope for in Rowen. Mr. Arthur Tripp is the State Executive Director for the United States Department of Agriculture. We're grateful for your time here to come together and to help us think about the future of medicine, agriculture, and the environment, and what role we all play in creating a better shared future. So, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Is this on? Nope. All right, let's do this. Well, now, good morning, everybody. Good morning. I see my good friend Norwood, they're going to make me bring out my preacher rhetoric this morning. We got to wake people up today. Good morning. It really is an honor and a privilege to be here with you all. And can we just, I'm going to go off script a minute. I hope that's okay, Mason.
Yes.
But can we give Charbel another round of applause for this? You know, this hits especially home for me for several reasons. But I'm a lifelong Gwinnetian. I actually did my K through 12 right here in Gwinnett County. I graduated from Duluth High School. My wife is still based right here off of Sugarloaf, and we still own a home right here in Gwinnett County. So this is real. This is personal to me. But it was something that Mason said at the beginning of our time here together that really struck a chord with me. He said it's about the future. And particularly for those who spend time in our schools and they spend time with our young people, you know, it's clear that success should be dependent not on your zip code or your socioeconomic status, not on, you know, your color, creed, race, or gender. But it should be predicated off of opportunity and equity. And I'm going to speak for myself here. This is just about me. This is not, officially representing anybody else. But it's clear that this presence here today, and this is where Rowen is trying to double down on that commitment, which is for opportunity. So let's give Mason and the board and the community task force a round of applause for bringing us all together. So thank you all so much. And I'm especially excited because we've got 3 true thought leaders, and I've had an opportunity to spend some time with them as well, who are going to join us. We're going to have just a thoughtful conversation about where we are, about where we want to go, and about planting a flag. So if y'all will join me in welcoming Caroline Belmont. She is the, come on, give her a round of applause. We're going to wake people up this morning. I'm telling you. She is the head of U.S. Global Innovation and U.S. Regulatory Affairs at Boehringer and Ingelheim. Darren Goebel. Come on up, Darren. Darren is Director of Global Agronomy and Farm Solutions at AGCO. And Dr. Kier Klepzik. I got it right, Doc? He is the Director and Scientist in Entomology at the Jones Center at Itchway. He's actually down in southwest Georgia, so he's not too far from us today. So if y'all would indulge for a moment, let's just kick it open, and I've got some questions here. If the audience has some, y'all just raise your hand. I'll get to y'all too. But here's our first question. As we look to the future, what are the 2 most significant changes that you see in your field in the next 10 to 20 years? Who wants to go first?
Well, I'll take a shot at that.
There we go, Doctor. Let's go.
I did my homework assignment last night. To me, what first jumped out for me, for one, is the interaction or even conflict between innovation and social license. I think we have never been in a time of greater innovation, both in terms of pace and impact, than we are right now. But at the same time, we've never had a more challenging time implementing those innovations and that new technology. And I think that's going to be a huge challenge and a change that we'll continue to see. And then, of course, it's hard to talk about anything if you're talking about change without looking at the change of the context within which we're doing this work. And that's not only climate change, of course, but land use change. And it's interesting that you're setting up a property here where you can address issues of land use change while you are changing the land use. So a real opportunity there as well.
Yeah, that's special. Go, sir.
Yeah, so I work for AGCO. We're an equipment company, equipment manufacturer, and we're focused on farmer-focused solutions to sustainably, feed the world. And so as I think about agriculture, we're going to continue to have a lot of pressure put on agriculture to feed a, expanding population, and to do that in a sustainable way that, doesn't damage our environment. And so, we're looking for a lot of solutions out there to solve real challenges for food production. And a lot of those solutions involve a lot of technology. It's going to take a lot of science, knowledge, and bringing together a lot of disciplines to be able to do that in that sustainable way.
That's very good. Talk to us a little bit more. As folks all know, the average age of farmers is getting higher. And we've got to find innovative ways to bring that average age down. Talk to us a little bit about how this innovation may accelerate that process.
Yeah, I mean, as we get more technology, it actually allows us to be a little bit more flexible with the workforce, and it may bring in people that wouldn't normally want to do a farm type job, because now it's working with robots, or it's working with computers, it's working with data analytics, deep learning, and we're really looking for that kind of expertise to really change the face of agriculture in the future.
That's great, thanks. Yeah.
So in our business, I work in a company which has been around for a long time. It's family owned, so we have a long-term vision. But there's been a lot of consolidation in our industry. So we're now down to the big four companies that exist, and a number of very specialist and innovative companies as well. So that forms the whole of the animal health industry. And we're supplying medicines and vaccines and preventative measures to a whole range of species. And of course, livestock being particularly different to the pet market and so forth. So that means that if you work for a large company like us, you need to remain agile, you need to stay flexible, but you also need to collaborate a lot. And it's very important to see solutions not just within your own area of medicine, but also within different areas. What digital solutions can we bring in? What diagnostic solutions could you potentially look at? So you need to expand your vision. But in addition to that, we see more regulation. And for us, that's significant. It takes about as long to register a medicine for animals as it does for humans. So that's anything from about 5 to 15 years. And so when the speed of science is gaining pace all the time, and you have to work within all those regulations, and they always get stricter and never go the other way. So, that for us is another very significant area of our business that we have to adapt to.
So let's dive into that. You presented a challenge. Let's talk about some potential successes that we see as we evaluate our industry. So let's go down and hear, and you all please talk about some challenges that you all see as well in your fields.
Yeah, so I guess I can start here. The big challenge that we have is really bringing in the right level of expertise to be able to solve some of the farmer issues. And so I'll give one example. Recently, we started really focusing in the last 5 years on how we can help farmers be more profitable and also sustainable. As we think about greenhouse gas emissions, for example, nitrous oxide is one of the biggest problems after carbon dioxide. And it's also one of the things that farmers put a lot of nitrogen on fields and farms, and they do that because that's what produces crops. And so we actually worked with Georgia Tech to develop and patent a new sensor that allows plants to tell us when they need nitrogen fertilizer, as a way to actually reduce the nitrogen needs and then also reduce the emissions into the environment. So this is a real good example where we take agronomic knowledge, scientific knowledge, pair that with technology to solve big problems and really help us to be more efficient in our food production system. And I see that as a really good example of how we can work together with a group like Rowen to develop new systems like that.
Phenomenal. Thank you, Doctor.
Well, so I work in the forestry sector. The Jones Center at Itchaway is owned and funded by the Robert W. Woodruff Foundation. We're about 30,000 acres of longleaf pine habitat, which is a vanishing habitat. It used to cover over 100 million acres. Within the southeast, it's down to about 4 or 5 million acres. And some huge challenges around that. Changes in land use, certainly, but also invasive species are a huge problem for forest resources. And I think we've never been more aware of how global our economy is when it stopped working and you started to order things from Amazon that never showed up. When it's really clicking, there are cargo containers by the thousands coming in all the time, and sometimes they bring in passengers that we don't really want them to be bringing in. The solution that we found to that, I've been impressed at how easy it was to get a group of academics and land managers, government agency people, to work on a plan for the prevention and how you might handle a new invasive coming in that would threaten the pine resource. And we are the wood basket of the nation and really of the world. And we've got a bunch of people, about 30 people that are working on this together. Nobody's making any money off of it. We're not even going to publish a paper out of it, and you know how hard that is for a scientist to say that. We're not even looking for a grant proposal, I swear to God. We just wanted to come together and work together to be able to put a plan into the hands of the foresters and the extension agents who are going to be faced with this kind of thing so they would know what to do when it happens.
Let's talk a little bit about innovation. Talk to us a little about the state of innovation in your respective fields and how that's evolving.
So with us, it depends on what scale you want to look at, and again, it gets to kind of social license, how willing people are to accept some of these methods. But we've got molecular solutions ready for just about everything. The issue is not solving how to deal with a new pest, it's how do you actually get it out there in the landscape and have people allow you to use these technologies to solve some of these problems. We're also seeing huge advances in remote sensing and our ability to look at issues from a landscape level. And when you're dealing with a property even of 2,000 acres, there's only so much you can do by walking up to each tree and putting a tape measure around it. We've got laser-based tools now that can map a forest in 3 dimensions and even show you individual trees throughout the entire property. So the technology is just racing so far ahead, really, and as was mentioned before, part of the issue is finding people that can then deal with that technology. We need to train people that can utilize this technology and take us into the new era.
Yeah, and I guess along those lines, remote sensing is a big deal for agriculture as well. And whether we sense what's happening in the field with satellites, planes, drones, or even our machines, it's becoming more and more important. And so we look at how do we start to manage individual plants instead of managing fields and farms as we've done in the past in order to get more prescriptive, to be a better steward of the inputs that we're applying to the farms and the fields. And so the innovation piece is huge right now in our company within agriculture. There are one startup after the next looking at ag tech, and it's heavily funded, and there's really interesting work going on. We as a company, we're looking at autonomous solutions where our machines can actually operate themselves. And whenever you start to do that, you take the operator out of the cab, and you don't have someone looking at what's happening with the soil, what's happening with the plants, and you need to have sensors that can do all of that. So it's going to be an enormous challenge to start to take the operator out of the cab and to be able to still manage down to the by plant basis, and it's going to take a lot of bright minds to do that.
So we're seeing a huge amount of innovation both in livestock but also in pets, and maybe here so everyone can relate. Everybody has pets, and pets are living longer. So the level of veterinary care that we see is so much better than it ever was. So we're now seeing a lot of chronic diseases that you have in humans in pets too. So a lot of the innovation out there, and there's a huge amount centers around stem cells and monoclonal antibodies and other really fascinating areas where we can actually aid elderly pets and actually provide a better life for them and a life where they can actually live longer. So we're looking at tackling cancer, looking at some of these therapeutics, and building an organization around that, as well as tackling some of the challenges that you see in livestock, which is really around feeding the population.
That's phenomenal. Let's talk a little bit about collaboration and partnership. We've had the opportunity to hear from some phenomenal individuals today, everything from education to the task force. And so can you all talk a little bit about, in your respective areas, how you all work in collaboration with your partners and any advice that you may have?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll try to hit that a little bit. So within AGCO, we have a lot of different collaboration around the world, but one example that I'll give is, we have some farms. We have a farm in Lusaka, Zambia. We have a farm in just outside of Zurich, Switzerland. And typically at our farms, we're not only doing research ourselves at those farm sites, but then we're bringing in universities and others that have technical expertise that we might not have to help us solve real problems. So for example, in Zambia, we had the real challenge that armyworms have entered Africa, and it's really devastating their corn production, and corn production is a staple crop, and it's what feeds the people. So our farm, in collaboration with people in the U.S., in collaboration with people in universities in Africa, started looking at what can we do. What biologicals are out there? How do we start to manage that pest? And it's super important. None of us have the answers ourselves. In and of ourselves, we have some piece of it. When we bring in the other people with other expertise, it really helps us to, solve real challenges.
I think it's similar for us really because we might be a big company, but we can't do it all ourselves. And I think having partners and collaborators is absolutely critical. So we have a lot of partnerships outside of the company. We have our human-farmer collaboration where we use information they've generated on certain chronic care diseases that we can use in the animal health field. But it's very important for us to bring small, innovative partners in as well so that we can work with them and have them, provide them with funds to actually, start their project off and provide us with some research that then we can work with them and bring to a development point and then even market in the future. So it also starts with the universities. So we have a lot of collaborations with universities across the United States. And as we have strong presence in Georgia, we have a lot of collaborations in Georgia too already.
I think a huge piece of the collaboration puzzle for us has been having the land base. And it's something that you guys will very shortly find yourself saying we've got to be able to say no to some things. I'll use every cliche you want. If you build it, it will come. You're creating an attractive nuisance. People will want to be here and be involved. The land base is huge. What we do with our land base, our goals, our major mission values are to understand, demonstrate, and promote. We understand through research. We demonstrate through the land management that we do on the site. What you do with your property will speak bigger volumes than any scientific paper that you publish. And then we promote through education and outreach. And having that clear mission, the tremendous energy that you've got behind this, and that contiguous land base, 2,000 acres is a lot of property. 30,000 acres is even more. And everybody wants to come work with us because of the resource and the strong tradition that we built there.
Speaking about outreach and education, Rowen is a multi-generational project. It's going to take, 50 years to finish the build-out. So how can we attract young people and real opportunity for them to engage in your respective fields? They're critical. Besides teaming up with Charmant, where we did. But what ideas may I?
Well, we've into the forest until you can get out into the farm field and start to see and practice those theories. You really haven't learned, or you really don't understand, and we really need that level of understanding. And I think Rowen can be one of those living labs that we can help with that understanding.
So I was very honored to have the tour yesterday, and I really enjoyed it. It was absolutely phenomenal because I love being outside. I was starting to think about, you could have animals and livestock. You could have started to introduce all kinds of things. I mean, we come across in different places, kids who've never seen a cow, and they've never had the opportunity to interact. And just having those simple, practical experiences early may be something really helpful just to spark the curiosity that then says, how do you keep this one healthy? And what can I do to help with that? And, then it becomes a career eventually.
One final question, and this is for each of you. What would you leave us with as we leave this building? As we have all these wonderful people here, what charge, what message, what would you leave us with in order to continue the synergy as we go forward?
There's so much world to save in so little time, and I talk about that a lot when we bring people to HOA for events. I say, you are here to save the world, and we want to make sure that you can do that. We're going to provide you with everything you need to do that to the extent we can. And I know everything's competitive. Everybody wants the best papers and the new invention and the new patent and the funding and all that. But to the extent that you can work cooperatively and not create a competitive environment, that's a huge thing.
Yeah, I guess I would just say, stay focused to the mission. It's really easy when you have a property like this, and you start to get a lot of people together, and everyone has a different idea about how things should be. You really need to put the blinders on and not look like right or left, and just keep focusing on that mission. And so I think you guys here in Rowen, I think Rowen has a really great mission, and just stay on that path.
Yeah, I love the mission too. I think, some of the problems we're all here to solve, you can't do that within a single sector. And I think providing the opportunity to mix up different sectors, to provide different companies with opportunities to talk to each other and focusing on that and really help to drive that is really what's going to make Rowen successful. So it's a fantastic opportunity.
Let's get to work. Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause and everybody listen back to the stage.
Wow, to hear brilliant minds like that be able to share what the future requires, and they're heading out to do a quick interview. But let's give them one more round of applause. To recognize the solutions, the innovations that are going to be required, and to have leaders like them, both at the government level and within the private sector, to recognize the need to come together, the skills that are about compromise, that are about trust, that are about building relationships is just wonderful. We're about wrapped up with our program. A few more things that we're going to walk through. The first is a video that we put together that we're excited to share, and we'll pull up in it. It'll give a flashback of where we've come from, but also a look forward to where we're going. So we'll watch that, and we'll close out. As we wrap up, I want to recognize the Rowen team as well. Tanner Dudley over here that has worked tirelessly. Christina DiGiulio, who's walking in. We mentioned Bob Hughes and Tom Sinkbell and Bob Giolis. We've got a great team of leaders here. I just want to recognize all the good things and making that successful. So thank you again as we work together to create a better tomorrow. The last thing I want to share is a quote and I asked for permission to use this from Bert Brantley, the Deputy Chief of Staff to the Governor and past Chief Operating Officer of the Georgia Department of Economic Development. And I had the opportunity to serve on a panel with Charlotte Nash and that Rachel Little organized and with Bert. And he said this line up there, and I wrote it down and sent it to him. I said, "You're not able to join us in person. Can I please share this with the group?" So here we go. Rowen is a very special opportunity for our state. I've worked in economic development for many years and can honestly say that Georgia has never had a project of this scale that is mission-driven, led by a nonprofit foundation with a view for the long-term benefits and a vision to connect higher education and industry for Georgians. Rowen is a once-in-a-lifetime project, and I really could not have said it better myself. So with that, please feel free to spend some time, make some new connections while you're here. We're concluded. If you have a moment and want to share some thoughts at our little video spot over here, welcome to do that. You can find on our website the video and information on rowenlife.com. And thank you again for joining us, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you all. That's awesome. your wife was here. I'd have shaken her.